What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special 4th of July episode of Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold stories behind athletics, big business, corporate America, private sector, politics, entrepreneurship, and the entertainment world, then this is the show for you. Being a part of most of these professions and having family and friends involved in them at one point of time in their lives, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in these careers. Now, let's try to unmask them. Today's guest is an experienced veteran in the information technology field. He has spent more than 13 years in the federal government with the Department of Defense and Department of Interior. In 2010, he had an assignment and career for the Department of Defense. And while he was there, he determined he was passionate about something, and that was photography. He's always been a creative individual, but being in Asia allowed him to experiment even further after spending 5 years in Korea. After spending 5 years in Korea, he returned back to the United States and began not just a hobby, but as an entrepreneur in the photography profession. During the last 6 years, he's been fortunate to shoot celebrities such as Rodney Peete and Holly Pete, and Holly Robinson Pete, Anthony Hamilton, Essence Action, Ruth Carter, and Elsie Neal, to name a few. He's also, he has photographs that's featured in numerous magazines, including Control Magazine, Hype Hair Magazine, and Element Magazine. I'm extremely happy to have this young man on the show, since he is an Oxon Hill alum that I've known since he was 14 years old. And, his name, and I say, welcome to the show, Antwon. I've always called him Twin. There's a twin sister. But I want to welcome to the show, Antwon Maxwell. But how are you, Antwon?
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing well in this new world that we're living in.
Well, look, man, before we jump into the interview, I want you to, like we talked about you being in the government, but, a big part of this reason, and it's going to intertwine, but is because of your photography, being a professional photography. I like to go behind the scenes of that and find out, like, unmasked people, they have no idea, like, how much work goes into it. I want people to understand it, and you can teach. But before we even do that, man, like, do you want to talk about anything related to your photography business? Just give you a chance to. So I know, look, you do all these celebrities, but hey, you do more than just celebrities, and
Right.
so and you travel. So just to let people know, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I just want to introduce myself, Antwon Maxwell. My photography is Antwon Maxwell Photography. ANTWON Maxwell Photography. You know, One of the things I travel a lot. When doing my shoots, I'm usually not in the area as much as I used to be because I do go to LA a lot. I go to New York a lot. I'm in Miami. I'm overseas, and I do a lot of stuff. One second, man. These jets around here, man. Living around this airbase, it's crazy. Um, I photography for me was never something that I ever thought about doing. As you mentioned, Lamar, coach, like I've always been artistic. I remember being in the 8th grade before going to Oxon Hill Middle, and from Oxon Hill. I remember I've always wanted to be a cartoonist for Walt Disney. That was like one of my long time dreams I've always wanted to do. I remember my 8th grade teacher. She told me, she was like, "You'll never make it in art because there's no money in it." And that blew my mind. And I'm like, man, I have no idea what I'm going to do the rest of my life. So basically my whole 4 years, I literally was just trying to figure it out. And like I say, photography was never really anything that I've ever thought about that I would ever do in my life. I like taking pictures, but it wasn't anything like as a profession. Um, so yeah, man, it's not easy. I do feel like it's more than just pressing a button. Everyone thinks that you just set it up and you press a button and that's it. But it's way more intricate than that. It's about with my background in IT, like I'm a customer service guy, so I do IT. I help users with their computers. You have to have a level of customer service, and I feel like having that background as well as an IT of just like process of elimination is is figuring out how to take all of these pieces and basically put them together to create these shoots. So it's more than just pressing a button. It's more than just having an expensive camera. It's literally about having expanding your mind and be able to be creative and to produce, great work, and working with very hectic people that think they are entitled, whether they're a celebrity or whether they're a regular. I got more regular clients that think that they are more entitled than my celebrity clients. So you got to just stroke that ego a little bit and make them feel special. But at the end of the day, it's my goal as a photographer to produce um, great work. I always tell people, um, I am, to kind of relate it to basketball, I am the point guard of my team. Um, I have my hairstylist, I have a makeup artist, I have my stylist, I have my creative director, I have my assistant or whoever it is. But at the end of the day, when everything doesn't work right, it falls back on me as a photographer to fix everything. And I'm the head, I'm the leader, so I got to make sure that everybody is straight.
That's awesome. Just to lead into it, and this we'll lead right into this question. I mean, and like you said, it's more than just a button, and we'll get into that later on. Like, but we're gonna get right into it, man. Let's get unmasked. One of the first questions I like to ask, and I kind of changed the wording a lot around, but can you tell me a bit about your career path? Now, like we talked about how you said something about being creative, but and we'll talk about your second career now, or your entrepreneurship is what I'm gonna say.
Right.
But tell me about a bit about your career path and what led you to this today. Like, what made you just say, "Man, this is what this is what I want to do," and it's become your business now.
Well, I could definitely tell you, when I started my photography career when I was in Korea, it was just a hobby. And I remember, like I say, when I remember taking a photo of one of my friends, and when we took the photos, I still really didn't know what I was doing, but I was so like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it, like right now, like just remembering the moment when I'm like, man, I really, really enjoyed what I did. I really enjoyed that creating aspect, from the thought process that her and I had to the final product. And I'm a big advocate for just seeing things through. And at that was the moment when I got the photos in Lightroom or whatever application I used at the time, and I had the final product, and I posted them on my Instagram, on my Facebook at the time. And I literally remember, like, man, like, I really, really enjoyed that moment, and I always wanted to have that feeling, like, over and over and over again. And so that's when I started, like, really reaching out to some of the military wives, and some of the the soldiers that I felt would help me progress my craft. And at the time, I was doing free shoots. I'm like, hey, look, don't pay me. I just want to do it for free. I'm just trying to build my craft. I'm just trying to basically get better at, all these things I'm trying to learn. So if you're willing to step in front of my camera and take your pictures, I'm cool with it. And then I got good real quick just by being that perfectionist as I am.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people always think you go right to making money right away. And like you said,
Right.
you were doing reshoots just to, protect it. And like and the thing about it was, it wasn't, you basically self-taught yourself a little bit. You learned as you were going. Some people go to classes and do different things, but I'm kind of, I love that because, like you said, and you invested in yourself, you believed in what you wanted to, and look what it's turned into today. So I mean, I really appreciate that. What's one thing you wish though you had known when you began starting to shoot people or got into the photography business?
That it's hard pleasing people. It's hard making people, how can I say this? It's hard making people happy that that aren't happy with themselves. So, to elaborate, you know, as people who are not photographers, we see photos all the time, and we always see the end product, but we never see the process of the end product. So in getting into photography, I always thought that, the pictures happened, everything happened, all the magic happened in the camera. And where there's some truth to that, but that comes with a lot of skill, like where I am now. Because a lot of it actually does happen in the camera. But in the beginning, when I was starting photography, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'll fix all that in Photoshop. And then the better you get, the more you realize is that the less you want to do in Photoshop. So I had I would have a lot of clients that would be unhappy with their weight, with whatever internal problem that they had with themselves. And what I didn't know is that to be a photographer, you have to be a therapist. You have to be a life coach. You got to be, all of these other doctor, plastic surgeon. You got to be all these things, not just a photographer that press a button, because you got to be able to, make people feel great about themselves, to step in front of a camera. And so it starts it starts at the beginning of just the consultation of talking to them, and not just, getting in front of the camera. So you have to make them feel great about themselves. So if somebody would have told me, hey man, you're going to have to really coach people up to be in front of this camera, I wish I would have known that beforehand. But it took me a while to kind of build that up. So I think now I'm pretty good at it. I'm not saying I'm not telling the truth about them, but sometimes you got to make them feel a little good to, to get in front of that camera. And you need a lot of hype people around them.
I like that. No, it's interesting you say that, because I always say in basketball, if I had to go back to anything, I would have been more of a psychologist, because you don't know how much you have to, like you just said, hype people up, like get inside their head and things of that nature. Like you have to, and like it doesn't sound any different from athletics when you coach it. What you're doing, therapeutic, life coach, like those things are important. And now I'm finding out, like I'm listening to you, like wow, I mean, you do what most athletic people do. So just sounds interesting in that form. Yep. And I know you have a typical 9 to 5, but now you go to a shoot, and like it's not just, oh, I show up and I'm taking 10 minutes worth of pictures. Like, what does a work day look like for you when you go into a shoot and you got a big shoot? What does that look like?
So this is so funny. And a lot of people don't really know this about photography or photographers. And let me back up. A lot of people don't know this about professional photographers. The difference is that my workday actually starts the day that the client books me for the shoot. So when I charge people, when I tell people that my rate starts at $3K, and they're like, oh my gosh, I just want one photo, or I just want 2 pictures. Cool, I get that. But the day starts when you book me and you hire my team, and then we all get on a Zoom call, and then we come together to talk about your shoot, whether it's for a magazine, whether it's for your headshots, for your business, or whatever it is. We talk about your shoot, and we decide, okay, what hairstyle do you need? How many looks do you need? How many makeup looks do you need? How many images do you want back? What are the images going to be used for? What is your concept? What is your ideas? And we get all these ideas, and then we write everything down. And then what I then end up doing is, within that week or however long the shoot is, I then put together a mood board. And a mood board consists of, I break mine down in sections. So the mood board basically will have my team information, and then it'll have the client information, and then it'll have the schedule, and then it will have, the makeup inspiration, and then the images that corresponds with that. It'll have the styling inspiration, and it'll have everything that corresponds with that and how many looks. It'll have the shot inspiration of how I want to shoot them in this angle or in this way. And then it'll have posing inspiration if we need something specific to how the client or the model needs to be posed. And then it'll have styling inspiration. I think I said that, but it'll have all the clothes to what we're going to be doing, or in the direction of what we want to do for that shoot. And then once I put all that together, I send it to the entire team, and I send it to the client. I'm like, hey, this is basically what we're going to be doing. And if we have to pull out things, add things, or whatever, then that basic way we, get the idea. So that way everybody knows their job when they come on set. Same thing, like I said, I keep going back to basketball. It's like, your position. We're running this play. You go here, you go here, you go here. If everything goes right, this is basically the end product. We score and we win the game, or however you want to, whatever analogy you want to put to it. So that's kind of how I run. Again, it's about being that point guard. It's basically how you run those plays, and you run those that situation. So moving forward, I communicate to the client leading up to the day. Hey, you're good? How's everything? How do you feel? Let me see what you got. Let me see the clothes. Is anything you want to change? I make sure that I stay in communication with them so they don't feel like I am just shooting them and pressing a button. I want to let them know that I'm actually, I'm here for you, and I want to make you feel comfortable as possible. So when you come up to the set, everything is good. Day of the shoot, I'm there 15 minutes, 20 minutes early. Like, I don't play that. Like, my whole team knows I do not play with tardiness. Like, that's probably one of the most disrespectful things anybody can do to anybody, is be late. Hate it. And then, like I say, shoot day, we shoot, whether it's 2 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, however it is. And and pretty much I send them the link to the images, and they select them, I edit them, and then we're done.
Wow, that's a lot though. I mean, the leading up to is, preparation. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Preparing for the game plan, executing the game plan, and then like you said, then you send in the images, and now it becomes like you basically, as a post game, that's the finished product. So
right.
I mean, that's I've learned something today, man. Trust me. I mean, wow. And I'm sure the listeners are gonna be educated as well. You don't, and I know it may be hard because I know you've worked on a lot of projects, but what are some big projects that you're working on now, or that you finished up in the last few months? You can or cannot talk about certain clients, but what's some big projects you're working on now, and or that you finished up in the last few months?
So one of the ones I finished up a few months ago was shooting with Essence Atkins for the cover of BSM magazine, and that was a pretty big shoot.
That was actually beautiful. I saw that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, man, I've been a huge fan of Essence, for a long time, since I was a kid, and watching her on TV and everything. And so to get the opportunity to work with her, was definitely major. One of the other major projects that I've recently did which was kind of random, but it it wasn't planned, but it everything happened for a reason. And like I said, I got to shoot with Ruth Carter. That was the shoot, that my makeup artist that I work with out in LA, she put together, and it was great to meet Ruth. And now, I'm really good friends with her. I have her phone number. We text every now and then. And she's out in Atlanta right now shooting for Black Panther 2. And, you know, I have an opportunity to go down there and shoot her for some stuff as well. She just recently got a star on the Walk of Fame. I was supposed to go out there and shoot her for that. But, you know, Amazon kind of took it over. And, you know, because of Coming to America. So that was cool. You know, Anthony Hamilton is one of my main clients. He has his album cover coming out. So I shot that I think I shot that last year. So he has his album dropping soon. So my image is gonna be on the cover for that. You know, like I said, and I have some other stuff coming up with some other celebrities and stuff like that. You know, but not to go on to celebrities, you know, but one of my biggest projects, and it's kind of like one of those ongoing projects that will probably never end, you know, is working with my wife and getting her brand and getting her a swim line, you know, to a place where it sustains itself. And so, you know, it's all about imagery. So, you know, whenever she needs me to shoot her stuff, go to LA or Miami or wherever we go to, you know, I make sure that I'm available to do that for her. So, you know, for me, that's probably one of the most important projects that, like I say, is like kind of like never ending. Because she's always going to need content. She's always going to need, you know, imagery, you know, even on the business stuff, you know, we talk all the time about how, you know, she can, you know, get better and develop her brand a lot better. So, you know, that's probably one of my most important, if not the important project that I have going on.
You're a smart man. That's all I'm gonna say. No, that was very smart. you learned. You're a smart man. I'm
sure. Look, man, 12 years of marriage is, you know, you learn a thing or two.
Yes, you do. And I don't like to use this word, but I kind of just ask, but I don't look at things all the time in this situation. But like, what has been your biggest failure, and like, what did you learn from it? I don't like using failure, but biggest disappointment, and like, what did you learn from it?
No, I get it, man. You know, failing. You know what's so funny? Failing is not bad. It's all about what you do with it once it happens. Because, you know, you can fail and wallow in your failure and woe is me. But, you know, people can take that failure and, you know, use it as you know, a platform to get better. One of my failures, I want to say, was, man, that's a hard question. I would say not really getting into that's a really good one. Because I try my best not to make any like mistakes or failures.
And it could have been a small thing. You just said, dang, how did I forget that or do that? I mean, it could be anything. Oh, hey, hopefully I'm not going to wood that it hasn't been one.
I got one. So, and it's small, but not. So right now I'm very anal when it comes to my images and how I transport them. So I remember one day I was in Korea and I came back home to do a shoot for a little bit, and the hard drive that I had crashed on me, and it was a 1 terabyte. And man, I had a lot of photos on there. And luckily for me, you know, my background is IT, so I know what to do to at least try to recover some of it. Man, this thing like killed me because I didn't have a backup of anything. And so I'm like, you know what? This will never happen again. I will never lose any images. Like, this will not happen. So what I ended up doing was I ended up buying a server, and I ended up setting this server up. And now I basically have an 8 terabyte. I have one 8 terabyte. Well, I have multiple drives now because I have to shoot so much. But I have an 8 terabyte as a main drive, and I have an 8 terabyte as a backup. And whenever I finish a shoot, I transfer those files to that server, and it backs up like 5 times a day to that redundancy. And I do that every single time. So every time I have a photo shoot, I move those files off of my SD card and I move them to that server and I back it up. Because that's the worst feeling to have, is to shoot a client for their wedding and you lose their images. Like, man, like that, man, like I can't tell you how that feels. Like I literally almost cried because now I got to go back and tell again. It's about, like I say, being a therapist, a doctor. You know, I got to go and tell this person, hey, I lost them. You know, like, you know, you know, I lost the files, and then having to be like, and having to hear them be like, oh my gosh, like that's, man, that's a horrible feeling, dude.
Yeah, I was now, and that's, but you, like you said, you learn from it. Now you know, hey, that won't happen again. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's hey, that's part of life, and like you say, you learn from it. And that's the biggest thing. So it depends. Like you could have made that same mistake again, but like, no, I'm not making that mistake again. I learned from that. That's a great thing. It's a teaching lesson.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy? Because it sounds like you're so excited because you can, like you said, pictures. I mean, just seeing the end product. But what do you enjoy most about the work you do, and what are you most excited about, like right now?
The one of the things I enjoy doing, I actually, it's so funny. I actually enjoy buying new stuff. My wife hates that. My wife hates that. I enjoy when a new camera comes out, or a new lens come out, or a new book bag, or something that I can just, I hate the same thing, you know, like the same, like, I mean, you know, equipment is fine, but I always like buying new stuff because it, you know, it makes my life more efficient. Whether it's a book bag or a camera, or like I say, even the cam link that I told you about. I'm like, man, I want to make my videos look better when I'm doing my Zoom call. So what do I need to do to get that? So I think for me, like, I love buying new things, buying new equipment stuff. But the one thing that I'm excited about right now is, so we're in the process of thinking about moving to LA, from the DMV area. And I always tell people the DMV produces great people, but it's hard getting them to stay. Because whether it's a basketball team, you know, you got Kevin Durant killing people out here over in the Nets, but he'll never come to the Wizards. And the dude from PG County, he'll never come here. I think he said it. I think he said it publicly, like, I'm not going to the Wizards. But I mean, we produce.
It's interesting you say that because Kevin is from here. We all know he's from the Suitland area, like that area. But like, you're right. He's like, he thinks like he doesn't have a lot of fans. He has more critics. You listen to Wale, like when these guys are like, they're homegrown, and the people here don't appreciate their greatness. You know what I'm saying?
They leave. Dave Chappelle's, you know, I mean, you got all these great people, man, that, you know, that DC, the DMV area breeds amazing talent. But it's hard keeping that talent because people are cheap, and there's no real, like, DC is not the mecca of, like, we're the mecca of go-go, but, you know, how far can that go? You know, so, you know, which is great, but, you know, as a creator, a creative person, photography, styling, whatever, I can only do so much. Like, my ceiling is so high in this area. And in order for me to expand my career with talent, with clients, I have to move. It's cool flying back and forth, but, you know, I feel like I miss a lot of opportunities when I'm not there. And to kind of stick on it just a little bit, a few more minutes, a few more seconds. Because of COVID, COVID has changed the way these award shows are done, when it comes to imagery. Before, you had the red carpet, you had all the paparazzis taking the photos, and they were the only ones that got those real nice, good images of those clients. I mean, of those celebrities. Getty Images and all these other places. And if you want those images, you got to buy them from them, 5,000, 10,000, whatever the money is. But because of COVID changed the way these celebrities are taking their photos now. And now they're being taken at their homes before the award shows. And the celebrity now has more control of how they want the photos to be done. Like I mentioned before, like Regina King. You know, my mentor shot her photo, and that's the style that a lot of these celebrities want now. And that's what I do. And I feel like I miss a lot of opportunities when I'm not there to do my style of photography for those celebrities. And they'll tag the photographer. They'll post it. It gets in the magazines. It gets on these other social media platforms. And, now these paparazzi photographers, they were so stuck on one way that they never learned the actual photo shoot, studio style shots and stuff. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to coming up in the next year or so, 2 years, is transitioning from this area and then moving to LA to basically do photography full time.
Wow, that sounds big time right there. That sounds big time.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it because, like you said, it's you got to go where business is, like, and that's like that elevates you even more to where you are now. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way? Like, what are some of those?
YouTube. YouTube University is everybody thinks you need to have a degree in photography. To be honest, like, you don't need a degree. I can go right now into a university and teach photography without any degree, because it's all about the experience and the knowledge that I have to teach. But YouTube University, I'm not really a big book reader. I mean, I know that's bad to say, but I don't have the attention span to read books. Like, that's just something that I don't have.
Now you can listen to them on audio, so that may help you a little bit.
I can't even do that, man. I can't even do that. I can't even listen. Like, I need to see a person, because I'm all about body language and everything. That's why YouTube is amazing. Like, if I would have known a long time ago, I'll tell you this, to go back on one of the other questions, one of my mistakes is not investing in YouTube back in the day, because I would be rich right now. But yeah, so but like I said, YouTube, for those who like to read books. But for me, it's just the experience and making those mistakes. Shooting a picture and it's overexposed, and you learn, okay, not do this anymore. And it basically is it being repetition. Those are some of the things that I've learned. Excuse me, that I've learned. Just and just let's say, but YouTube, I think, is like the biggest thing that has helped me get to where I am today. I've learned so, man. I mean, my wife can tell you, man, like, we were in Korea, and I was set up, dude, until like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just watching YouTube videos of different lighting techniques, how to use my camera, different posing. I would literally sit there and watch Vogue videos when they would do like behind the scene videos in Vogue or Elle magazine or different things. I learned so much, man, from that, just watching people's videos, and it inspired me to do the things. So basically, all the things I do now, basically, I'm learning it from what I watched, and I'm just basically adding my own spin on it.
Wow, I love it. YouTube investing. That like you said, you probably have way more money right now.
I won't be right here right
now. What are some of the biggest challenges like you face day to day, and your biggest rewards?
My day-to-day challenges is let me think. So I'll say this. One of my goals that I told my wife a long time ago when I started shooting was I said within 10 to 15 years of my photography career, I want to be able to shoot 12 times in a year. And however that works out, you know, I want to be able to only shoot 12, and the rest of the days of the year, I want to basically do my own stuff. The problem is that I like to shoot so much that when I do that, it bothers me. And I'm like, why aren't these people hitting me up to shoot? You know, but the thing is, and that bothers me. And so that's one of my challenges, is that I don't want to shoot all the time, but I want to shoot all the time. So that's a big thing for me. And the crazy part is I'm actually doing exactly what I wanted to do like I said 10 years ago. I'm actually shooting once or twice a month. And the jobs that I'm getting are big enough that it's financially sustaining me in my photography career. So yeah, that's one of my biggest challenges, is that. Another big challenge is, you know, marketing myself in a way where I eliminate the, and I'm going to say this, and it's no disrespect to anybody, but it's eliminating the cheaper clients. You know, not to eliminate people, not to put people down or their finances or whatever, but it is very hard when I'm constantly contacted by clients that have a budget of like $200. And I'm like, you know, not to toot my own horn or pat myself on my own back, but I'm like, look, you know, I'm shooting celebrities that have won Emmys, and I'm shooting clients that, you know, like it's a level of like, all right, now, like, let's be serious. Do you really? And they'll say, oh, well, my cousin Neek, he got a camera and he took my pictures for $150. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, he got, go to him. So that's basically one of the challenges, is basically trying to find a happy medium and I have management. I don't send everything to them. But it is hard dealing with that. And what was the other question you asked me? The other part.
Rewarding. Like what's rewarding?
Rewarding is the rewarding feeling is when I get a new client and they tell me, I was referred to you by X, Y, and Z, and they spoke nothing but great things about you, and I'm excited to work with you. And like that, for me, that's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to be on set and people say, I can't believe I shot with Antwon Maxwell. Like, I can't even put into words of how that feels. Like, I had a client, his name is Noah Lyles, right? He's the Olympic track star. Not Olympic track star, he's a track star. He's going to the Olympics this year. And I photographed him and his girlfriend in Orlando. And I text her and I was like, hey, you know, when can I post the photos of you and Noah? And then she says, oh, you can post any of these photos that we already did. I'm like, perfect. And then she sends me another photo, and she got all of my images printed out on these really big frames that they're going to put up in their house. And I can't tell you, man, like how that makes me feel, that people are that excited about my work that they want to have it in their home on a wall, or people change my images on their profile picture on Instagram. Like even something that small, for me, that's the photo that everybody sees. When Anthony Hamilton does it, like right now, he has one of the photos I took of him for his single, You Made a Fool of Me. He has that on his profile picture. Candace Dillard from the Real Housewives of Potomac, she has my photo. And so, I mean, I can't tell you, man, like how that makes me feel. Like that's like the most humbling, most rewarding feeling it is to have, is having those photos displayed.
Well, I mean yeah, I see like that. I mean, and those are small things people don't understand. That's just a small thing, but it's big to you. You know, so hey, you appreciate. I mean, you appreciate sometimes when people just say thank you. You know, so that's hard to come by at times. You know what I'm saying? So, what or who are three people, and it may not be three, but who are the three people who have been the most influential to you? Who are three people?
Well, first person is my mentor. I mean, he hates when I call him that now. He says I'm his colleague. So I won't call him that. But his name is James Anthony. He was a big part of where I am, where he critiqued my work. He gave me advice on certain on things while I was in Korea and I was shooting and stuff. And still to this day, like I haven't really asked for his advice in general, but you know, he was a big part of where I am today in photography. Another person, I would say my mom also too. Like my mom is a very, you know, we butt heads a lot because we are very similar. But, you know, my mom is, you know, she's a very, you know, she's very independent. My pops, my dad died when I was like 2-3 years old. So my mom had to raise 3 kids on her own. And it's so funny. I never knew this, but, you know, my mom, I think when she retired from working from the post office, my mom making like $40K a year, something like that. And I'm like, how did you survive? How did we survive off of $40K a year with a family of 3? Like, this is ridiculous. It's me and my wife, and I make well over that. And I'm still like, where's the money going? But I just, but my mom is, always looked up her as a superwoman. So I'm like, my mom is very independent. She can do it on her own. She never asks for help. And I'm the same way. That can be a pro and a con, but I looked up to her a lot of just being able to do things on her own and make things happen. And I think that's why I have the mentality that I have now, where I feel like I can do anything. And I just speak things into existence and things just happen. And my mom, kind of was the same way. And a third person, I don't really have 3. I mean, I don't know if that's bad or not, but yeah, I don't have a third person.
Nah, it's right. Who was most influential? So that number is not always a set number. Yeah. I throw that out. Some people be like, man, I got 8, 10. I'm like, hey, I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You like you said, you've always been creative. You didn't see yourself as a photographer or, anything like that. You wanted to be a cartoonist. But what piece of advice would you give to a high school or college graduate who wants to get into photography?
I would tell them to try everything. Try everything that deals with photography. Events, weddings, fashion, beauty, portraits, whatever, kids, whatever it is, do everything. And figure out where you want to go into. Figure out what thing makes you happy. One of the worst things to do is to do something for so long and you're not happy. And then you're like, man, like I always tell people this. My goal in life is to leave my footprint in this world. And no matter what that is, whether that's giving information, whether that's taking a photo of somebody, of their wedding, or, whatever it is, my goal is to always leave a footprint in the world. I always want to be remembered for something, and nothing bad. I always want to be remembered for something that I've done great, that I've helped people to do. So whatever it is, that they want to do in photography, figure that thing out and like be great at it. I always tell people, find your corner and master that corner so well that you can do it in the dark. And where you do it so well that it just comes like as natural as just open your eyes and standing up and walking. So that way, when people see your body of work, they know exactly who that work came from.
Like what you just said, like master your corner. I mean, and you can do it in the dark. That's actually, and you dropping some jewels over here. I know that. What would you say are the top 3 skills needed to be successful as a photographer?
Patience, drive, and the willingness to not be good at everything. Everybody wants to be great at everything, but it's okay to not be good. Like, I can tell you right now, I'm a horrible event photographer. Don't ask me to do it. I do it sometimes just for the money, make a couple extra $100. But to be honest, I hate going around and say, do you want a photo? Hey, let me get you guys together. Do you want a photo? I hate that. That's like the worst. I can't do that. That's it's almost like forcing people to photograph with each other. And then you gotta take it 3 or 4 times because they're like, well, how do I look? Because you photograph 4 people in a photo, and then you got 1 woman and 3 guys. All 3 guys like, man, that's cool, whatever. But the 1 woman is like, no, well, let me do it again because my hair was this way. Or, well, let me turn to this side. I'm like, look, lady, I got to photograph 400 people. Can I just go, please? Like, so yeah, just do what you love.
Awesome. What tricks or anything have you discovered to keep you focused and productive, like in your business schedule, your business schedule?
Well, definitely having a schedule. I have this app called Clear, and I just kind of type everything in there that I have to do for the day or for the week or for the month. And that kind of helps me keep me on track. But I would definitely say having management helps as well, because they can kind of like keep your schedule organized and stuff like that. But I would say rest. Man, I try to get in at least 2 naps a day.
Wow, that's pretty good. 2 naps a day.
At least 2.
That's the trick. 2 naps. I gotta listen to that.
Look, take naps, man. Taking naps. People sleep on naps, man. Taking naps is like the best thing. Like, even if I'm on a plane, a nap. If I'm in the airport, like, I think one of my biggest things is I like getting to the airport early. Like, I'm a big advocate, again, of time. I like being at the airport early, like 2 hours early. That way I can either edit some photos, take a nap. I'm always gonna find a way to take a nap. Like, I don't like that's how I'm able to do these long journey, like, week and a half long trips, because you got to get rest, man. You got to get rest.
I like that. Taking naps. I'm writing that one down right. Who has been the greatest inspiration? You talked about influential, but who has been your greatest inspiration? I mean, of course, you about to be right on this answer. I know that.
I'll say this, and not to be the husband of the year, but my wife is a very big inspiration. She started her business. She started her business like 2 years ago, and this woman works hard, man. Like, I'll tell you this is the honest to God truth. Like, out of a 24-hour day, she probably only sleeps out of the 24-hour day, she probably works 22 or 21 hours out of the day. And that's like real talk. She is the CEO. She's a customer service. She's the fulfillment center of her business. She fills all the orders. She does all of the marketing stuff. She does all the custom. She answers all the emails. Um, and she does all of this with me being in the house watching Golden Girls, in the middle of the night. And, I'm out here right now because I'm trying to give her the ability to focus, on what she needs to do, because having me in the house is a distraction. So it's hard for her to like really focus on what she needs to do and get things done. Like we always make a joke. Whenever she's reading an email, it reminds me of, and she's like reading it out loud because I have the TV on or whatever I'm doing. And we always make the joke. It reminds me of the Will Smith joint when he's like, the wonderful world of chemistry. The wonderful world of chemistry. Like, it's just like, and it's like, that's her life when I'm in the house. So I try my best to do things outside the house so that way she can, but she's a huge inspiration, man, of how hard she works. And it doesn't go unnoticed. So yeah.
Awesome. Sacrifices. And I could tell you on the athletic side, I've been a coach for a long time, and yours might not be as big because y'all kind of do things together. I know in college athletics, people always, when is your off season? There is no off season. It's 365 days, but you're working 355 out of 360 days. You're away from your family, you're out recruiting. It's so many different things. But like, what sacrifices have you had to make with you being in the photography profession?
Leaving for an extended period of time, whether it's a week, 2 weeks. Like, for example, for her business, she gets her swimwear manufactured in Guangzhou, China, and she had to go over there for 2 years. For 2 weeks, and that's not a long time, as the same as like an NBA player or whatever. But it is tough. You miss your family, you miss your wife, you miss your husband. So for me, like, I was in LA for a whole week doing a shoot, and and it's one of them things where I was there, and when I was in LA for about a week and a half, and she received like not bad news, but she received some news that wasn't pleasing, and it definitely hurt her. And I wasn't there to be that support system. And my wife is a very positive thinking kind of a person, and she's not a negative thinker. She always sees the glass like she always sees the glass like full. It's never half empty or anything. Like, she's always a positive thinker. And so she's been hit with a lot of kind of troubling news over the past couple of months, in the last year or so. And so I think this one thing like kind of like just like really hit her, and she was crying and stuff, and I'm like, and I'm not there to hug her or to support her. And so those are the moments where it kind of hurts, it kind of sucks, being away. So I can only imagine how it feels when a celebrity, a comedian, is going on tour for 6 months, or a soldier is deployed for a year, or a basketball player is gone to the Olympics, for for a couple months or whatever. Like, yeah, so it's tough, man.
No, it's very tough, and that's what people don't understand. Sacrifices. Being away from your family is tough enough, and that's what, like I said, that's the biggest thing. In this profession, like, we miss like friends' weddings, or it could be friends want to go on a trip. You like, man, I can't go on a trip. And it's like, because yours not scheduled either. Like, you could be like, somebody like, oh, I need you to be at such and such this time. Like, do you want to go here? No, I can't go. I got a shoot to do. So yeah, yours is not scheduled time. You got things going on too, and you may not be able to do things with family or even with friends, because things that come up at any time in your profession.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like, I can't tell you how many birthdays I've missed, how many nieces and nephews that were delivered, that I missed, or you know, it's tough, man. But I appreciate my family and my friends that understands my profession, and they don't look at it. They're like, hey, look, I know if you were not here, I mean, if you were not doing that thing, you would be here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And as long as they understand, you know,
Right.
they don't bother you as much. Like, what motivates you, man? What motivates you?
What motivates me? I'm easily motivated. Everything motivates me. Man, and I know it's kind of cliche to say, but I'm easily motivated. No matter what it is, man. Like I find joy in everything that I do, whether it's photography, whether it's golfing, whether it's, man, you name it. I mean, literally, like a friend can call me right now. Somebody can call me right now and be like, Antwon, man, like we about to go do this, you know, this photo walk. You trying to roll? And I'm excited. I'm like, okay, let's go do it, because I just love doing it. Or if my friends call me, if I got like my boss's boss, I mean my supervisor's boss or our big boss, he'll call me and be like, hey, let's go to Haynes Point and go play some golf. And I'm excited about that. Like, you know, like I'm easily motivated. There, you don't got to do a whole lot to get me to be excited about something.
Awesome. Hey, that's positive attitude all the time. It sounds like.
Yeah.
What is your greatest fear, and how do you manage fear? Kind of mentioned a little bit earlier about
Oh,
you kind of mentioned it earlier.
well, one second.
But what is your greatest fear?
Oh. One second. Hold on one second. Can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you, and I'll end up cutting that part out.
yeah. 1 second. Let me hold on 1 second. All right, my bad.
I'll just ask you again. I'll cut that whole part out. What is your greatest fear, and how do you manage fear?
So my greatest fear is not succeeding. And how I manage it is by always trying to elevate, do better, try to minimize mistakes as best as possible. I mean, mistakes will come, but just learning from those mistakes and not repeating mistakes. But not succeeding. You know, like I was explaining to you before yesterday, after high school, you know, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And, you know, when I heard my teacher tell me, hey, you know, there's no money in art, and you're not gonna, you know, you can't do that. And, you know, in order for you to be a cartoonist, the people that are there have to die off in order for you to get it. And who's to say that you'll be the one that will get there? And so I had a period of my life where I struggled really hard. And I know how that feels to struggle, and I never want to be there again. And so I think now I work extremely hard in the things I think that's why now I'm very strategic in how I move and what decisions I make, because I never want to be in that struggle space. I know that we have to be in that area, but I don't want to be there for long. And so I try my best to you know, minimize, you know, those things, so that way I don't and like I said, now that I have my wife, it's a little bit different when I'm by myself and I make those decisions. But now that I have my wife, you know, I said we've been married 12 years, but still I don't, you know, I want to make sure she's good. When I made those vows to, you know, take her from her mom and dad, and I remember telling her dad when I proposed to her, I mean, when I proposed to him first, I told him, I said, my goal is to make sure that she never has to work again. Now she has her own business, but she's not doing a 9 to 5 or anything like that. And I feel like I've kept my promise. I support her, I take care of her. And so I don't want to do anything that's going to take away from that promise that I made. So I do my best to be successful, make the right decisions, whether it's the people I hang around. I don't want to hang around wrong people that have negative energy, negative thoughts, negative things. I try my best to be around people that are positive thinking, that are goal driven, that are elevating themselves, because it makes me want to elevate even more. And I think if you hang around those kind of people, that can help you make sound decisions.
You are so correct. You are definitely correct. You talked about being successful. That leads into my next question, or succeeding. How do you define success? Because everyone have their own different answer to it, but how do you define success?
I define success in being a good person. Just be good, wherever your faith is, wherever your faith lies, whether you do believe in God or whatever it is, whatever your thing is that you believe in, whatever makes you, come back to, reality and not be big headed or whatever, stay humble, but for me, just being a good person and just doing the right thing. Like I say, hanging around the right people. Man, you'll be surprised how friends and just the wrong group of people can alter your life and your decision making and what you do. Right now, I got friends right now that I'm really close to right now, and one of them is worth $250 million, and he's investing and he's doing. I'm like, man, I want to invest him. I want to invest. What can I do? What do I need to do to invest into a business? And I thought I needed to have a lot of money. He was like, bruh, you need to have $3,000. Come in, smart me, come in at the low end. And when that business does well, your payout is great. And just being educated by those kind of people. So those are the kind of people that I want to be around. Those are people that basically will make you successful, because you want to be around people that are doing great, because then you want to be great. But if you're hanging around people that are doing nothing, they're hanging out at home, they're not doing anything, then you're like, oh, well, they're doing it, I can do it too.
Man, that's so true. That's definitely so true. What is one common myth or about your profession in the photography field that you want to debunk, or nah, that's not true? Because I heard you said something about the one button, that's just pushing the button. But what's one common myth that you're like, nah, that's not true at all?
That there's a right way to do it. Like there's no right way to light somebody. There's no right way to photograph somebody from an angle. There's no right way to, whatever. There's no right way. But the thing is that if you're going to do it your way, and that's not the industry way, or what do you want to call it, you got to be able to own it. And you got to be able to, and you have to be able to articulate your way that you did whatever you did, whether it's lighting the person. So if you photograph somebody and they and you did like some really hard light and it's really, really overexposed, I'll look at it and be like, man, this looks bad. But if you can tell me why you did it artistically, I have no reason to question you about it. Cause I'm like, dang, that's your art. That's the way you did it. Who am I to convict you that you did it the wrong way? Yeah. So if you, we always, like, the one thing is, when we always shoot 3-pointers and then we hit it off the backboard and it go in. And you're like, I did it on purpose. Like I intentionally did that on purpose. And then we're like, and if you call it, then it's like, oh shoot, okay, you did it on purpose. If you don't call it, it's like, all right, man, was that luck or was that you? And then you're like, I don't know.
I like your comparison. I'm gonna ask you this because you are a happy, positive person, and so people see you. And I'm sure it's that way on the shoot. But what's something that people might misunderstand about you?
That I am nice.
I like that. I like that.
Man, don't mess with me. Don't let this smile and don't let the humble spirit fool you, because I can be AWS real quick.
I like that. Hey, but it's business. You know, it's business. So, and you're a perfectionist. You know, like you said. So that's understandable. I like that. Being nice.
Man, I don't play. Like I say, I'm nice. I smile. I'm cordial. I'll talk to people. I'm very open. I'm very I love to talk. But don't you push that wrong button or don't. Another thing is don't judge my work if you don't know what you're talking about, because I will go all the way ham on you. Yeah, man, I'm a nice guy, man, but I'm not nice.
I love it. I love it. Hey, you have to be.
I'm gonna get a t-shirt made. Say I'm a nice guy, but I'm not.
I like that. Now, if you could turn back time, time and talk to your 18-year-old self. You Oxon Hill, I mean, you graduated Oxon Hill, the teacher told you what you could do. Like, what would you tell you? Like, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself if you could do that?
I would
what would you tell him? Because I'm just saying, what would you tell him, which is yourself?
I would tell him, I would tell my 18-year-old self then, now, it's gonna be okay. I know people always, say like, would you change anything in your life? Oh, whatever. Like, to be perfect, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change any of the mistakes that I've made. I wouldn't change none of the mistakes I've made. Personal, business, because those things really shape you for who you are today. I'm a better husband because of the mistakes I've made. I'm a better photographer because of the people that I cussed out that just needed to be cussed out. I'm a better brother because of things. I'm a better uncle. I'm a better businessman of the mistakes I've made. So I wouldn't change anything, because I feel like if I told my 18-year-old self what mistakes to look after, then things will be altered. Like, I wouldn't be married to the woman I'm married to now. If I had basically watched out for the mistakes that my old girlfriend made. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because then it'll be too perfect, and I wouldn't see those things that have happened and stuff like that. So, I wouldn't change anything. I would tell my old self, like, it's gonna be okay.
Hey, that's simple though. That's simple. It's gonna be okay. Be patient through everything. You like, it's gonna be okay. So I actually love that answer. But look, Antwon, man, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the show and being unmasked. Is there anything like you want to leave with the people before we go?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for you giving me the opportunity to be on your channel, man. We go way back, and when you hit me up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, is this Coach Bear? Like, man, I cannot. And then, like I say, when you called me twin, that was just memories, man. Just You know how you have those smells that bring you back to your childhood? Like it was one of the moments, man. So, but I appreciate the opportunity, man, to speak on your channel, man. And I just want to tell everybody, you know, like keep looking out for my work. You know, if you don't follow me, follow me. If you need me somewhere, my wife somewhere. And you know, just keep following us and keep looking out. And definitely for any of those individuals that, you know, want to get into photography or whatever you're doing in your profession, just always know, you know, be great at it. And just keep always evolving and elevating. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, you're welcome, man. It's interesting. Like social media is not always bad, and that's how I found. I mean, I'm looking at someone else's picture. I see Antwon Maxwell photography, and I'm like, hold on, I only know one Antwon Maxwell, and hey, I DM'd him. I was like, hey, would love to have you on my show, and I'm proud. Like, it's interesting that, and then I'll say this before we even go off. It's like I've run into you seeing more and more OXON alum. Like that's a huge to see. Like you were 14 years old. Your sister, you know, 14 years old when I first got a chance to see you guys. But like that's something like you look back and I'm like, man, that was, you know, man, you talking about almost 20, 23 years ago now.
Yeah.
And to see where where all the kids, man, I'm so excited to see how successful a lot of the Oxon Hill kids were, you know, and like I mean, I look back at it. I told you I did with Naima Jabali Nash, who's a producer. And my whole thing is trying to connect all you guys. Like eventually, like, hey, we have one big show. But I know you, like you've been in photography. She's in, you know, give her to start her own production company, and like that stuff ties in. You know, young lady on the West Coast in LA. You talked about
Rose, yeah, Rose
James Anthony. Like she, you know, she's the Oxio grad, and she's, you know, she's a chef. You know what I'm saying? So like all that stuff, man, is connecting. So, but I want to thank you again, and I want to thank the viewers for watching this special episode of Unmasked. Stay tuned for the next guest as we get them unmasked. See you next time, and stay safe.